All right, we want to go after the layout's logo now. In the previous exercise, of course, you got introduced to layer styles or layer effects, and I'd like to throw some additional ideas at you in terms of different ways to work. Specifically, different ways to work between Photoshop and Illustrator and some Illustrator effects. Okay, so what I've done here for us is I've set up our logo already inside Illustrator. We just have to apply some color and some effects to them. Okay, so this is going to be pretty cool stuff. If you're taking notes, you might want to get the old notepad ready here. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to head all the way down to my desktop, and I'm going to go and open up my Work Files folder. And inside the Work Files folder, we have a file in there called logoandtext.ai. Go ahead and pop this guy open inside Illustrator. Now, this guy contains, as you might guess, the logo and the text for our layout. So there's a logo at the very top, House of Horrors. There he is right there. And then there's some additional text down towards the bottom, which we'll get to in just a little bit. Okay, so it's the House of Horrors logo that I'm after specifically here. So there we go. And as you can see, I've set this up to just be filled with solid white and just a simple solid black outline. So we want to dress this guy up a little bit, and then we want to get him over into our Photoshop layout. Okay, so we'll try and get all this happening inside a single exercise. I don't know, this might be a little bit too long. We'll see what we wind up with here, though. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go and set this guy's fill color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that the fill swatch is in the foreground there at the bottom of Illustrator's toolbox. And as soon as I click on that guy, by the way, the color panel springs to life, which is exactly where I want to be, as a matter of fact. And if for some reason the color panel did not spring to life for you, go ahead and pop them open from the right-hand side, or you might have to head to your window menu and look for color. And I've already figured out my color values that I want to use. I already mentioned in the previous exercise that I've got my color palette already figured out ahead of time. So here we go. This is going to be the RGB color values for the fill on our logo. So here it is. It's going to be 140. All right. Tab forward, and then 200. Tab forward to the blue, and we're going to go 65. Okay, so we should wind up with kind of this lime green color, something like this. Okay, that's exactly what we're after. Now, the next thing that I want to do is I want to go after the outlines, the strokes on my logo. Now, as a matter of fact, what I'm going to do here, and this is something that's really, really cool that we can do inside Illustrator, a single object like we have here can have multiple fills and multiple strokes. And this all happens inside what's referred to as the appearance panel. I don't know if you've ever messed around with this before or not, applying multiple fills and multiple strokes. So what I want to do here is I want to set it up so that my object actually has two strokes. And of course, each of those strokes are going to have their own settings, different colors, different thicknesses, and so on. So it's all going to happen inside the appearance panel. So what I'll have you do is head up to the window menu up towards the top, and then look for appearance, okay? Or you may already have appearance kicking around over on the right-hand side of your screen. Now, make sure your logo is selected as well. The appearance panel tells me that I have a group that is currently selected. Okay, well, that's just fine. What I'm going to do is I'm going to head to the appearance panel menu, this guy right here, and I'm going to say I want to go and add in a new stroke onto this group. And it adds in this stroke into the group. Now, I have two options here. I have the color for the stroke, and then I have the thickness for the stroke, or the stroke weight, as Illustrator calls it, as we can see there in the tooltip. And this is all going to happen inside the appearance panel. I don't need to go to the swatches panel or into the stroke panel or use any of my drop downs from the option bar or anything like that. I can do it all inside the appearance panel here, which is pretty cool. So if I drop down this color area, I actually get a miniature version of the swatches panel, which is pretty darn cool. The only problem is the color that I want to use isn't saved in my current set of swatches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down the Shift key and click on this little color swatch here, and that will give me the RGB sliders and value fields, if you will. So just shift clicking will get me into what appears to be a miniature version of the color palette, okay, which is exactly what we want. Okay, perfect. So the color that I want to go and set, this is going to be kind of an orange color. So here's our RGB color values for this guy, 240, and then I'll tab forward and we'll go 120, and I'll tab forward one more time and then 30. Okay, and then enter to lock that in. And then the weight that I want to use for the thickness of the line is going to be 4 point, just like that. Okay, that's exactly what I want. Perfect. Okay, great. All right, good stuff. Now, I said that I wanted to actually apply 2 strokes to this guy. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to head back to the Appearance panel menu, and I'm going to say Add New Stroke. So now I have 2 strokes applied to my selection, applied to my group, which is pretty darn cool. So there's the first stroke there, the orange and the 4 point. It actually duplicated the original. So I'm going to grab the original, as a matter of fact, and I'm going to go and change him. Once again, what I'll do is I'll hold down Shift and click on this little color swatch to get myself into the miniature color palette, if you will. And I'll go and throw in my new RGB values for the next color. This is going to be kind of a darker blue, a darker version of the blue that we saw earlier. I'm going to go 0, tab 80, tab 124. Okay? And let's see, I'm going to set this guy's weight to twice the weight of the original stroke there, 4 point. Okay, so we wind up with something like this. Okay, now I know it looks terrible. It really doesn't look good at all. What I'll do, though, is I'll put the brakes on here, and we'll finish this up in the next exercise.